Hey, what's going on guys? Chip here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video where today we're going to be doing something a little different. This is something I definitely want to start doing a bit more, and that is talking about new cards when they are announced, when they are released. I guess not when they are released, but when they are announced, like I said initially. Just to give my first initial impressions of them, talk about if I think they could be good, if I don't think they'll see much play, kind of things like that. And yeah, so we're just going to hop into things. Shoutouts, of course, to PokeBeach, your ultimate Pokemon fan site, as it says on the title there for these translations. They always do a great job of releasing, the new translations and things like that. And there are 4 cards today we're going to be talking about, as well as a new design for the basic energy, which I definitely really like. You can kind of see like a fiery effect for the fire energy, and I think this will be really cool if we see them continue this with the other types, where like grass type we might see like a foresty or like leafy effect coming off of the energy symbol, or like water, a watery effect, so on and so forth. And I do think they will, this does indicate that they would do something like that. I doubt we would see like a fiery effect coming off of all of the energies, so I always like it. I always enjoy seeing what the new generation of energies look like with the release of a new game, of a new generation, of course, with Sword and Shield coming out in just a week now. The video game and then Sword and Shield base set for the Pokemon TCG, I believe, should be coming out in January. So here are the cards we're going to be looking at today. We have, first off, the only Pokemon in this video is going to be the Meowth V. Very cool looking card right here. Meowth, definitely a fan favorite Pokemon, especially over in Japan. I feel like they always love the cat Pokemon, and Meowth definitely fits that bill. Pokemon that's been around since the beginning, so always cool to see that. And this will be a promo, as we see here, giving out to those who participate in a sealed deck tournaments in Japan on December 14th and 15th. The tournaments will use the 5 starter set V decks that are releasing on November 29th. So, yep, very cool. And these are the cards that are coming in those V decks, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So the Meowth here has Payday, 30 damage, or excuse me, colorless, 30 damage, and then draw a card. So, could be a good little setup attack. Of course, worth noting, Meowth is a colorless Pokemon, so it is very splashable, can fit in lots of different decks. Does have a 2 retreat cost, it looks like, as well as being weak to fighting. And then Slashing Claw, 130 damage for 3 energy. When a Pokemon V is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards, of course, keeping consistent with the Pokemon EX and the Pokemon GX trend we have seen from the last couple of generations. So this card ultimately does not seem great right now, but it will kind of depend on what the V Max mechanic becomes. And we do know that there is a V Max mechanic based on the initial announcement, as you can see 3 months ago during Worlds, where they announced Pokemon V for the first time with Zacian and Zamenzenta V being announced initially. I still don't know correctly how to say those Pokemon names, but I'll learn them eventually. As you can see on the Zamenzenta V, there is a little bit of text. It's kind of blurred out here, but we can kind of make out prevent all damage and something else up here from your opponent's Pokemon V Max. You can clearly make out the word V Max right here, so I feel like there will be that new mechanic, and it'll be something very similar to Pokemon Break or Pokemon Level X, if I had to guess. Of course, Pokemon Break and Pokemon, we'll talk about this in a second, but let's just look at a Level X card, a Pokemon Tangrowth Level X here. Level up onto Tangrowth, and this sort of acts like a break card for those who weren't around at this time whenever Level X's were a thing, where you can put them onto a Pokemon, you level up, it's different than evolving, and you can still use the attacks of the Pokemon that is under this. So yeah, put this card onto your active Pokemon. Arceus Level X can use any attack, Pokepower, Pokebody from its previous level. And that's the same thing we saw from Pokemon Break, which we'll look at right here. Mandibuzz Break, sure, good of an example as any. Break evolution rule. Mandibuzz Break retains the attack's abilities, weakness, resistance, and retreat cost of its previous evolution. So if I had to guess, I do think that V Max will be very similar to this mechanic in that it retains the attacks and abilities of its previous level, its previous evolution, however the mechanic ends up working out. So we don't know if Meowth will become like Meowth VMAX, or it could become Persian VMAX. We really don't know yet how it will, come about. We'll just have to see eventually, of course, whenever the set does drop. And I do like that they are keeping a little bit of secrecy behind these things, not letting us know really what is going to happen quite yet. So as it sits, I do not think this card is great. I do not think expect it to see very much play as of now with what we know. But if Persian VMAX or Meowth VMAX comes out and is very good, obviously this would have to go with that card. And we do know that the VMAXs are coming once again because of this initial reveal at the World Championships. It's something that's going to be coming eventually. So let's continue on here to the next card. Quick Ball, and I love that they are printing this card. It is different than the initial Quick Ball print, the initial release of the card, which was released originally in Majestic Dawn and Mysterious Treasures several years ago at this point, but I think this is going to be a very good card for evolution decks. You must discard one card from your hand in order to play this card. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So kind of like a budget Ultra Ball. You only have to discard one card, but you can only search for basics. You cannot search for evolutions. And it's a little different than Nest Ball, of course, because Nest Ball sends the Pokemon directly to the bench, whereas Quick Ball allows you to put it into hand. So this is obviously going to be great with Dedenne GX, a basic Pokemon that is a support card that is played in lots of decks. In the expanded format as well, I could see this becoming, a good, useful card. And at the cost of discarding one card isn't too bad, of course. Discarding a card can be very good in certain decks. A lot of decks do interact with things from the discard pile, like energy acceleration from the discard pile, things like that. So there is definitely a lot of reason, a lot of merit to a card like Quick Ball, and I do think it is something we will see played in a lot of decks. As soon as this card gets released, I am definitely going to be picking up a playset. This gets a 5 stars from me. Going to be played very heavily moving forward. We've got Evolution Incense here. Oh, actually, sorry. Let's go back to Quick Ball real fast because I did want to mention the old text of the card, as it has changed quite a bit. Originally, reveal cards from your deck until you reveal a Pokemon. Show that Pokemon to your opponent and put it into your hand. Shuffle the other revealed cards back into your deck. If you don't reveal a Pokemon, shuffle all the revealed cards back into your deck. So I do think that this new print is much, much better than the initial release. Quick Ball originally, of course, could find any Pokemon, but it wasn't like a search card. You couldn't get out a specific Pokemon for a specific evolution or something like that. You were really limited to a lot of chance as to what Pokemon you would hit off of this. And now we can search for those basic Pokemon. So very good card. A+ from me, going to be played in a lot of decks. We've got Evolution Incense, another card that I think is pretty good and will see play in evolution decks. Search your deck for an evolution Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So just another consistency option for evolution decks. It reminds me a lot of Evosoda, which was a card that was played a good amount when it first came out, and then also played a lot later on in its life when Zoroark GX was a very popular card, and I could definitely see this just being very good. This, of course, can search for a Stage 1 or Stage 2 Pokemon, so you can get things with Rare Candy, which, so you can get like the basic with Quick Ball, then you can get a Rare Candy in your hand, and then use Evolution Incense to find the Stage 2. You can search things out with Rosa, which is a new card that came out in the most recent set that I think is going to be played in a lot of Stage 2 decks moving forward, and it does seem like there's not a lot of support in the current format for evolution decks, so I do like to see a lot more printing of cards that do allow these decks to have a chance to succeed. Quick Ball and Evolution Incense both do that for me. I'm going to give this card like a B+, A-, something like that, because it is obviously very good, but it's not going to be like a staple card in every deck like I feel like Quick Ball will be. I feel like Quick Ball is going to be a card that you'll see played in basically every single deck. Evolution Incense obviously only makes sense in those evolution decks, but it is very good in those decks. So definitely going to be a card you want to pick up and is going to see play if you're playing an evolution deck. And then the final card we're going to talk about in this video is Bede, a new supporter card. Attach a basic energy card from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon. So this is actually a card I think is very good as well. Obviously, it is your supporter. You do only get one supporter for turn unless you are behind on prizes and can use something like Lieutenant Surge's strategy to play multiple supporters. But as long as we have cards like Dedenne GX in the format with Dede Change, supporters like this can see play and can be successful in certain decks. Because you do have other ways to draw cards, you're not reliant solely on your supporter as a way to draw cards whenever there are things like the Dedenne GX that exist. But it is, like we said, obviously a supporter, so it does take up that slot for the turn. So it's going to be very niche, the decks that can utilize this, I think. Obviously, it's splashable, like can be used with just about anything, but it's going to be niche which decks actually need this card to succeed and to do well. You know, things that come to mind would be like 3 energy attacking Pokemon right now that have a little bit of a hard time getting powered up quickly enough to make a difference. Maybe something like Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor tag team. What are some of the other beefy tag teams out there, like Venusaur and Snivy, maybe Blastoise and Piplup, things that are not fire types that obviously Welder could be used with. I think that we could see Bede be used in things like that, especially when combined, like I mentioned, with the Dedenne GX. So 3 of these cards are definitely very solid. Meowth right now, not very good, but like I said, it will just kind of depend on what the VMAX mechanic becomes. Is there going to be a Meowth VMAX or a Persian VMAX that's very good? And if that's the case, obviously this card needs to be played in order to get into that card. So we'll just have to see for the time being. Quick Ball, A++, going to be played in almost every deck, I think. Evolution Incense, great for those evolution decks. And Bede, very good as well. Not quite as good as these other 2 cards, but something that I do think will see play at some point. So let me know what you guys think about this type of video. This is something I've wanted to do for a while, and something I would definitely like to make more of in the future. They're very quick for me to make, so that is a plus. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of these cards as well, and that is going to do it for me. I'm going to get out of here, guys, and until next time, take care.